I'm still blocked.
Oh, okay. Hey
Oh my
everyone, welcome to
God.
well, we're on, we're live. Welcome to Comic Artist Pro Secrets. Yes, Comic Artist Pro Secrets. Lately, people have been saying Comic Book Artist Pro Secrets, and now I am wacky. All right, now this is Comic Artist Pro Secrets, and very happy to have you for another incredible, incredible event tonight. Today has been quite the day.
Oh,
If
yeah.
any, if any of you are following social media, and I'm sure many of you are, you can see that there is all kinds of drama going down. But hey, we're here to chat. We're here to hang out and be entertaining tonight. Those of you who aren't watching wrestling, ladies and gentlemen, I bring you my friend. Sorry, everyone, he's my friend, Zach. How you doing?
Hey, what's up? I remember we were planning to do this because things were a little crazy, and then they got a lot crazier today. Like literally within like 2 hours of this planning, or even less than 2 hours.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I wasn't expecting this. I mean, honestly, the whole reason why we set up this chat was because we both did really well on super chats last time, and we were like, "Wow, everyone's so nice and generous, like when we're together." So maybe we should do it again, like once a month or something,
Yeah,
and
definitely.
and talk comics. I mean, that's what we both do. I mean, that's what we have in common. We both have different kind of agendas when it comes to our channels, I think. You're very much, into the politics of comics and what goes on. My channel is meant to be more instructional, but it's also kind of like a video diary and an archive of my work and my thoughts of while I was working on these books. But it's also meant uh, to give the fans, the professionals. So, I've had a ton of just really big name pros come on and be interviewed very respectfully and very nicely. And fans come away, I think, feeling a little bit closer to people that they didn't know before and maybe misunderstood. Um, at the same time, I've known you for a little while. I think you're a good guy, and your channel has obviously dwarfed mine by a million times. So I guess basically, I should probably be doing more politics.
Well, yeah, one of the good things about those videos is like, there's a ton of comics out there and there's a ton of artists, and it's kind of hard to like make a connection, even if they're not actively attacking their fans. So Jason Fabok's like really great, but now people watch the live stream, and then when they see the Jason Fabok, they're like, "Oh, I listened to that live stream. He was really cool. He was talking about this and that. Seems like a good guy," and that gets you to make that extra little grab instead of just like keeping going down the aisle.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, everyone was really impressed with Jason. By the way, Feisty fan, thank you so much for that super chat. I appreciate it. Everyone was very impressed with him because I think that he is a fellow who quietly stands up for his convictions, and not only that, he's a fantastic artist.
Oh
Uh,
yeah.
he came out and explained how Jesus Christ was important in his career and guiding his choices and so on and so forth. And I think everybody just kind of went, we can see it, like you can see in the way that you are, in your tone, and your the way you conduct yourself. And I admire Jason quite a great deal. Drake Tungsten, thank you so much for that super chat. It is and then we had other guys on. I mean, we did have Dan Slott back when Dan Slott was controversial. I think now Dan Slott is non-controversial. But just sitting down with him and talking comics, sitting down with Mark Waid talking comics, Chuck Dixon. It's just been I don't know. I think I think it's just a good thing for this channel. Wow, the chat is already blowing up. Hello,
I'm
everyone.
trying to
Hello.
check the chat, but I can't figure out how to see it. I looked at the on my phone, but it doesn't seem to show up on your phone when you go to the live chat.
No, I have an iPad so I'm actually watching the chat and watching the live stream on my iPad, and then I've got this going on on my laptop, so that's a cool thing. There are people long. I'm sorry, go ahead. I cut you off.
That I feel like I can hear the super chats come in.
Yeah, there are people lying in here and saying that Dan Slott is a huge Trump supporter, and that's I'm he might be a little Trump supporter, but he's not a huge Trump supporter by any means.
I kind of picked up on maybe some like subconscious Trump supporting from Mark Wade in that I don't know, I saw a lot of like subtle endorsement of the wall. He seemed to also not understand that Mexicans do things besides cross the border illegally. So I don't know, maybe it's kind of like low key subconscious.
Whoa, what is that about? What do you mean where was the Mexican thing? Was that in Captain America?
That was in actually I don't think any Mexicans have appeared in Captain America. Oh, the new swordsman seemed to look Mexican, but no, in the Champions, Mexicans have popped up a couple times, and every single time, they were somehow related to illegal immigration. So maybe he's trying to build a case for the wall.
Oh, terrific. James Dietrich, thanks for the super chat. Tell DNC that it was Thor number 370. That is my favorite issue, penned by James Owsley, Christopher Priest. Was there an issue about that?
So, yeah, so he's been mentioning this, that it's supposed to be a really, really good issue. And somebody was saying in this video with CB Cebulski at like a writer's retreat, somebody said Christopher Priest was there. I haven't had time to confirm it, but if it was, that'd be pretty exciting.
Yeah, I've liked him ever since. Did he write Spider-Man Wolverine back in like 1988?
Yep, that was his main claim to fame. He kind of disappeared. And what he says is, I had this career that went for 20 years. I was just a guy. I was just a writer. And then all of a sudden, political correctness happened, and I only got offered Black characters. So he basically dipped out. I think he's like a preacher, priest preacher. And he says, my career started writing Spider-Man and Wolverine. And supposedly that book was like one of the first few really big hits that wasn't like a Dark Knight Returns. They just put two popular characters in like a prestige format, and it had really high sales.
Yeah, you know what? It was $2.50, and I remember back then that $2.50 was way out of my budget. I was just a little kid, and I was able to scratch together maybe 75 cents, sometimes $1 for a comic, but $2.50 was too much. And we were so poor, Richard. My big sister got it for me for Christmas. Oh, it's like I like tear up a little bit when I think about it. I opened it, and was like, oh my goodness.
Was it some kind of a gift of the Magi thing where she had to shave all her hair and sell it to?
You're gonna make me cry. It was really sweet of her. I couldn't believe it. I was like, where did you get $2.50? Saggy Modes, thank you so much for the super chat, which is $2.03. So that's almost all I needed in 1988. Excited for Hal Jordan number 38. Keep up the good work. Cool. Thanks, Saggy Bones. That comes out February 14th, and I do hope you enjoy it. Tiago Murta says that Christopher Priest is doing Deathstroke now, and it's amazing. Have you read it?
I read it. I gave it kind of a mild thumbs down. I actually remember where I did the video, though, more than I remember the comic.
What do you mean?
Well, when it was warm, I used to do videos. I would sit in Times Square and review a video. I did that one in Pier 84, which is where they have this aircraft carrier a couple blocks from my apartment. So I remember recording the video, but I don't remember reading it.
Okay, that's, at least it was a memorable experience making the video. Richard Adams, thank you for the super chat. Akira B says, EVS, I know Zach roasts you, but if it's true, I love that you love old show tunes. I mean, this is a strange thing. Like, I don't know why he thinks that. I like Doris Day a lot. Like, I'm a big Doris Day fan, and I'm proud to admit that. That's one of the reasons why I started collecting autographs. Zach, why do you think I like show tunes?
I've seen you post about I got Ethel Merman's greatest hits. I got Doris Day to sign my box set.
Okay, well, maybe the other half of that is true. The first half, Ethel Merman, never. And honestly, I don't even know Ethel Merman. Well, I know who she is. I mean, Doris Day. Well, I'm stammering now. All right, so there might be some truth to what you're
Yeah,
saying.
that sounds like nervous. It's like under pressure.
Yeah, it's listen. Doris Day is someone who I love because she's kind of like the opposite of Marilyn Monroe. I mean, she was like virginal and the kind of girl next door kind of type that, I mean, she was pretty and cute, whereas Marilyn Monroe was sultry and sexy, and you see where that got her. But Doris Day is still around. She's like 96 years old, and I actually have a Google alerts tied to her name, so I get an alert every time somebody says something about Doris Day. I know the news is going to come that she's left this world soon, and I will be devastated. But I don't like show tunes.
Oh my God.
I mean, I don't know. Is it really?
I did just the idea that you like sat in your day, you're like Google alert for like it's very hard for me to take.
Splitzkrieg asked me why I don't like progressive rock, but I'm going to ask Richard if he likes progressive rock first.
I don't really know what it is.
All right, so it's like Yes. You know what I mean? Like that, like big, like goofy, or like rock opera kind of stuff from the late 70s, early 80s. Foreigner.
No, sorry.
Yeah, it's not my thing. I don't like it. I think it's overblown. And I had a guy over here who was dating my sister-in-law, and he loves progressive rock. He's a musician. I'm a musician. I was happy to meet him because he's a really good guitarist. But all he wanted to do was play prog rock songs, and I'm like on my piano, like so happy to be jamming, but I don't want to play this music. So.
Hello?
Yeah, he'll come back in a second. Hopefully. Can you guys hear me? No. It says I'm live. Can you guys hear me at all? Hello? Richard, are you there?
Yeah, I'm back.
Can they hear us? Guys, can you hear us? Say yes. Can you hear me? Yes, yes, yes. Okay, Richard's back too. That was weird. I don't know what to say. And we never got an answer about Zach's nails.
What was
They,
the question?
well, yeah, he's like he gave you $2.50 for a manicure, which would not pay for a manicure at all in any case. But why does he think you want a manicure?
I think he's saying that I have beautiful nails and you need to step up your game.
That I would agree with that. Honestly, it's true. Reggie B. Cable says, I heard Cyberfrog is gay with Pepe. Is that true, EVS? Not that I know of. I haven't talked to Cyberfrog in forever, and I barely know Pepe, so that seems like a rumor, frankly. Yeah. I don't want to see the manicure you get for $250. Yeah, manicures cost about $20. Zach, the thing about getting a manicure is that what you really want to do is get a pedicure. Now, have you ever done that? I know that you are uh, not exactly the type of guy who I don't know. Maybe you are. Would you ever get a pedicure?
Hell no. Oh my God, never. Ever.
All right. Well, let me explain what happens. Like they put you in a nice, comfy chair. This is what women do all day. This is what you need to understand. This is what women do while you're at work. Okay? Because I've seen them. Like I've been in there, and it's all women, and they're all sitting in these chairs. They have little glasses of cheap wine, red wine, and basically they roll your pant legs up. They take your shoes off and your socks off. They give you a foot massage with lotion. They trim your toenails, and then they put your foot in like a hot foot bath while you're drinking wine. And then these Asian women, they just like rub your feet and then like I don't know. And they put your feet in these stockings full of like goop, and then there you go. And then they kind of put clear coat on your toenails.
This is horrifying. This is like one of those Nerkish live streams. I would never be able to handle this.
Oh my god. Yeah, pedicures are awesome, says Kira B, and she would know. She is female. I keep trying to get my husband to get one, and his reaction is basically the same as Zach's. Yeah, this is the thing. I mean, guys don't know what they're missing. I have done it like 3 times, and I think about doing it again, but who knows? Who knows? So we've got a lot of crazy stuff going on online right now.
Yep.
Oh, hang on. Before we do, talk to Richard about his landlord. That question he's always dodging.
What about my landlord?
There
I
is,
can't think of him.
yeah, I don't know why they said that, but
He
okay.
doesn't talk to me. Like I'll pass him and I'll say hello, and he just won't answer at all.
Why?
He doesn't speak English, and I think he's deaf too.
Weasley, thanks for the super chat. Does Zach have a Manny person lined up in Austin?
No.
I'm going to answer him and say no.
No, I just can't even comprehend how like someone would even have that thought to do something like that.
Mm. Yeah, I didn't think so either. I mean, frankly, I didn't know. I never would have thought to do that, but it just seemed like something else. So now the chat's freaking out and they're saying first Doris Day and then Manny. I'm changing my name to Manny Petty, by the way, for the chat. Like Manny.
I think we need to stop the chat so you can draw a nostril on your. Who is this? Jimmy Olsen?
This is a guy from a Chick Tract. Do you know what Chick Tracts are?
Yeah, they're like religious propaganda, right?
Yeah, there was a guy named Jack Chick, and I don't know when he started doing this. I feel like Chick Tracts go back to the 1960s, and basically, yeah, he would do these incredibly strange religious, pamphlets. They were all comic books where people would burn in hell and stuff like that, and they talked in a very very strange way. Well, that fellow is from a Chick Tract. I love his face. It's just hilarious. I never noticed he didn't have a nostril until you pointed it out. Now it disturbs me. But he's dancing with a woman and she's saying, "Let's get high." And he's saying, "Yeah, and deny Christ." And they're dancing to rock.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Oh,
Somebody found the panel, and I'm sure now everybody could find it. And it was the funniest thing I've ever seen in my life. So, and I love his face. I love the joy on his face as he is sinning. So I enjoy him. Vendant Singh. Oh, did I miss a super chat? Richard Adams. My landlord is fine, Ethan. Thanks for asking. Oh, it's another Richard. Okay. Vendant Singh. Is it pronounced Singh? Says, review Ultimate Spider-Man, Zach, and teach me how to draw legs, Ethan. What's up with Ultimate Spider-Man? Does that book still exist?
I don't know if he's talking about the old one from like 15 years ago, or I don't know if that's the name of the Miles Morales one. I thought it was just Spider-Man. And now I thought he changed his name to, I'm not joking, Spy D, SPI-D. But I don't know what the name is.
Not SPY?
SPY-D. That's his new superhero name.
How about that? Is it good?
I think the Miles Morales one, I did like 2 issues. It was very, very, very bland. That's all I can say. It wasn't cringy. It was just really boring.
I had the worst interview the other day. This dude sent me a thing, and he just said, "Hey, would you be on my podcast?" Now, I'm trying very hard, and Zach, you could tell me if this is a mistake because, maybe I shouldn't be doing this. But I for a long time I just said no interviews. I don't want to talk to anyone. Lately, I'm kind of coming out a little bit more of my shell and being like, "Hey, yeah, I'm doing it. My YouTube channel." Maybe I do want to talk more and put more of myself out there. So I said yes to this guy, and I'm not going to tell you who he is, and I'm sure he might even be listening now, so we can get this awkwardness that happened kind of on the air. So he gets me kind of like in that sort of private space between where we're going live, where we're recording, and that we're kind of introducing ourselves to each other. And he literally said this to me, Zach. He said, okay, so basically, this is anything goes. The only thing that you can't do is say, and then he said the N word. I'm dead serious. He came right out and he just said the only thing you can't say is and he said the N word, and I can't even say that. Like I can't. It doesn't come out of my mouth. And I just sat there like stunned and said, I wasn't going to. Like I thought, like, what in the world? So now I'm thinking, okay, so either this is a guy he's like clearly political. So either he wants to sandbag me because he's from the left, or he's from the right and he wants to really like far right, and he wants to associate me in with like, hey, are you racist like I am? So
Yeah, I think it was like, hey, we both know we say this word a lot, but hey, let's church it up. Like
oh,
that's
like yeah, like that's what, and I'm like, I was absolutely stunned. Like I thought he was going to say, well, you can't curse, like don't say the F word or something. No, he just came right out with the N word. So yeah, it was so weird. And so basically, the entire interview was him telling me things that he wanted to tell me. So I'm on the air with him, and please, I hope I hope he doesn't actually run this, because it's the worst interview experience I've ever had. He was like, somebody goes, was this Comic Historian? No, it was not Comic Historian. It was a different dude. But no, he started saying, hey, I've got this great idea for a Green Lantern story. Can I tell you? And I went, okay, I'll probably steal it, like lightheartedly. And he went on and on with the Green Lantern story. And then he got me into this. He's like, you know, how do you feel about like when characters change their race, like on in movies and like, you know what I mean? Like they do race swapping. And I'm like, that's just not cool. And I'm listening to this going, I don't care at all. Like that's one thing that actually doesn't bother me. It's not a big thing. But he went on and on 20 minutes while I just went, no, no, it's not a big deal. And then finally I just went, I gotta go. Now, have you ever had to pull that, like where you've just been like, I actually have to go do something to get out of an
yeah,
interview?
I got out of one. I just said I have to go eat dinner.
I mean, it's like people
Worked.
get, they
You
just
know
want.
what's funny? I actually never heard someone say the N word in real life until I was 27 years old.
Where
And
did you
I
grow
heard
up?
someone say it, I literally gasped out loud. And then my next thought was, whoa, I just gasped. I didn't, it was almost like a movie reaction.
Yeah, I heard it when I was a little kid. I grew up in Provo, Utah. It's like I was born there, so the first 5 years of my life. And this kid, I guess I was 3 or 4, and this kid came up to me, and I don't know in what context he used it, but he said it to me. And I remember thinking, well, that's a funny sounding word. So I went inside and I said it to my mom. I just declared it, like, and she put soap in my mouth, just like Christmas Story. So when I see that, I think about racial epithets. All right, let's see.
Yeah.
We got a couple of live chats here.
You know what
Liam,
I think about? I just rewatched that for the first time in like 25 years. What is
yeah,
the little kid's name? Ralphie?
with the little kid,
No, the main character.
yeah, Ralphie.
His mom is like smoking hot. And his dad's like 20 years older than his mom.
Really? Yeah. Well, okay. Here's the thing. First of all, I think that dad is actually our age, believe it or not.
Just weathered from growing up in the Depression and World War II
Yeah.
and stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, people didn't live that long, and he probably was going to live until 60. And right there, I mean, that's the way adults used to look. They used to just be beaten down by war and by hard work, like out there working with your hands. And you'd eat whatever you wanted to eat, so you'd have flabs of flesh just like hanging off your face. Your face would be all craggy from smoking. Um, yeah, I think he's our age, and I think she is. I think she's around the same. Maybe she might be 5 years younger, but she's holding up better. I do agree. I think
You know
she's.
what? I just looked it up. He was like 48.
Dude,
God, he
I
was
told
like
you.
65 in that movie.
I told you. Isn't that crazy? I don't understand why people used to look older. Like people really, well, I mean, they weren't getting pedicures, in the 1940s. The men weren't. That's probably one of the reasons why they don't look as good as you and me, because we were both pedicure guys. Liam, while
Sorry, when I was a kid, all of my grandparents died when they were like 65.
yeah,
Basically kind of like that generation, Darren McGavin grew up around smoking, being poor. You got lead in your, walls. And for some reason, I got into my head that everyone died when they were 65 years old. So when my dad was like 64, I started to kind of like broach the subject, and he got like really, he's like, "What are you doing?" And my dad's like, he was perfectly healthy. He's perfectly healthy now, like 10, 15 years later. But I just thought, oh, so that's what happened. You turn 65 and you die.
yeah, no, 65 seems right around the corner. Like I know a lot of people that are in their 60s now, and it's just like that's creeping up on us, especially the way years are going by now. All right, let me read a couple super chats. Jeremy Joe Star, $5. Thank you. Ethan, have you asked Gail why she backed Daryl, or is that just fail endeavor? If you tried, love to see her response to it. Nah, she can do whatever she wants. I don't care. Liam Wallam, wow, I can't pronounce your last part of your name. Thank you for the $12 super chat. Please do a live chat, Alvin Morrison. Also, the chick tracked Darkest Dungeon saved me from the Eternal Fiery Dungeon and Heresy of C.S. Lewis. So chick tracks are a good thing. What do you think?
I don't know about that one.
Yeah. People were just more free about eating whatever they wanted to in the 1940s. And I kind of look at my dad. I remember my dad being 42 years old and thinking he was so old. And now I'm 43. But you know what? These kids think that we're old.
Well, I'm old, like legitimately.
Well, what are you?
What's up?
What are you?
I'm 44, but I've lived like 80 years. Like I've got intense amounts of road miles on me. Like you don't even believe.
Yellow Flash, thanks for the super chat. Did you know the Atlantic doubles as toilet paper? Not in my house. In my house, it's a respected magazine. It's given a place of prominence.
What is Atlantic? Like what kind of like who is its audience?
To be honest with you, I don't know. I looked it up real quick, and I've recognized the logo. Like I guess I've seen it. I think it's a lefty mag. But what I did notice is the guy who wants to do a hit piece on me, and I think you too. I think it's about both of us. Is the guy who on CB Sapolsky, and that just came out like at the end of December. And so this fellow is a young man who is interested in bringing comics drama to a major publication. I mean, when these guys from like the smaller comics journalism outlets like Bleeding Cool, when they want to do that, I get it. When something like the Atlantic wants to publish OMG, they're trolls on the internet about comics, I don't know what's going on.
It's just some guy literally trying to make like 350 bucks. Like nowadays, those guys make nothing. And if you get it in there that you got one editor that will be like, hey, he always buys when I do this comic stuff controversy, calling someone racist.
Yeah.
350 bucks towards your rent that month.
I'll give them 350 bucks. I mean, people open up I mean, listen, do what these other guys do, and they open up like Kickstarters or GoFundMe's to pay the rent. I'll do it. Like, give me a good story and I'll contribute. Nasser13, thank you for your super chat. Obligatory artist message. Okay, so Nasser13 is desperate to find, I don't know, good artist. I thought he found one, but if you are interested in maybe seeing what he's writing and maybe drawing his stories, his name is at Nasser, Nasser Rabadi, Rabadi 13 on Twitter. So go ahead and go there. Mega Gears X says, Comic Artist Pro Secrets. How did you feel about the comic story and interview? How did you listen to any of it, Richard, or did you miss it?
I don't really listen to live streams. Sorry.
Yeah, I didn't think so. I know that, most of the once you start making videos full time, you don't really watch them anymore. But Mega Gears, I liked it. I like him a lot. I think he is a very enthusiastic guy about comics. I think he's also a clever businessman, and I mean, clearly he is. He's got to deal with Disney through his YouTube page. So I like him. I hope to be back on there with him again. I got 550 new subs from that appearance, and they're all comic book fans. The thing about being on his show was that, like, for once, there was no drama. Nobody was asking about whatever that was about Gail Cement. Nobody asked about stuff like that. They just ask about, like, Green Lantern. They ask about superheroes, and it's so refreshing. It's like that's my wheelhouse. I mean, all I really want to talk about is comics, and I assume that 16,600 people who follow me also just want to talk about comics. I think so, and so I try to do that, but I feel like I get dragged
So
into.
I got something Green Lantern superhero related
Yeah.
that I think about all the time whenever I start thinking about like what is superhero stuff more in depth. And I know you had your Little Orphan Annie Bruce Wayne connection theory. I feel like everyone who has a superpower feels like borderline nauseous or headachy all the time. And that's just based on that the human body is not meant to handle this type of power. Even if your power helps like balance out your power, I just still feel like I don't feel like the way you feel on a good day. I don't think Green Lantern ever feels like that when he has the ring on.
Really?
Yeah.
I I feel like maybe he does. Like I think okay, I think mutants feel like a mess, and I feel like Spider-Man feels like a mess because these are all things that happened to them that, like, mutated them, and ruined their bodies. But, like, Green Lantern, I mean, Green Lantern is just you, and then someone gave you a ring that makes you fly. You know what I mean? It's like, wouldn't you love that?
What do you feel like that ring would hurt?
No, because you would have a protective shield over you. Like, it also projects, an aura around you of green energy that protects you. I mean, here's the thing. This is the thing, the difference between Marvel and DC characters. And you'll forgive me, Marvel fans. Most Marvel characters, superheroes, exist because something stupid happened to them. True or false?
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay. So if the Marvel and DC universes coincided, the Marvel universe wouldn't exist, essentially, because Superman would fly up into space and he would catch Mr. Fantastic's stupid rocket and he would say, "Dude, the cosmic, let's go back to Earth," like that, right? Somebody would have stopped the Incredible Hulk, from, "Hey, let me go wander out onto the site of an atomic blast." Like, that wouldn't happen. Like, whoops, here's chemicals that spilled into my eyes. Like, I'm Daredevil, and oh no. And then, just tons of guys like that just had something. There's some people that made really good, like, choices, and those characters are like Captain America, and they came from the 1940s where people were a lot more assertive and chose their destinies. But for the most part, Marvel characters all kind of happened because they accidentally were crawling with bugs that bit them.
You know what? One thing that I always thought was stupid, and now that I live in Hell's Kitchen makes a lot of sense, was the origin of Daredevil, where like a truck was going down the street and then an isotope fell out the back of it and
Mm.
it hit some kid in the eye. Because when you're in Hell's Kitchen, you're over on the west side, right by the West Side Highway. That's a great place to get to, and then you're in Connecticut in like 15 minutes, or you can get to any other part of New York City. So I can definitely see in the 60s a bunch of trucks and garbage vehicles going through Hell's Kitchen to get over to the highway to get out of the city.
Hmm. Wow, that's so you have extra insight into that.
I am
Um,
always, and I'm about to go buy Electra Lives Again, the graphic novel from like 1990. I am obsessed with figuring out what part of Hell's Kitchen that Daredevil lived in. Now, I feel like and this is only going to make sense to like the three people who actually know this neighborhood. I feel like it's like 47th between like uh 9th and 10th.
What makes you say that?
Because where I live, I'm like right on like 2 blocks from the water, but there's like this really, really wide road. And Daredevil would never be able to hop across that road. He wouldn't be able to swing across it. He would literally have to go down to the ground, run across, and then shimmy up a building. It would look stupid. But like 47th, 46th between like 9th and 10th, those are really packed together. And then the other streets are closer together. So you could bounce off a light pole, the top of it, get to the next one, and then you're in Midtown. Then you're in Times Square. Then you're in the Midtown kind of business district. Then you're
How
by.
about that?
So there's all these cool, iconic buildings to jump over.
Hey, Master Chudy, thanks for the super chat. $10. He said, yo, Ethan and Zach, nice to see you guys back at it again. Keep at it, Ethan. You will be fine. Oh, I hope so. Well, it depends on my fans, doesn't it? Also, Zach, take some of this cash and get a Red Hood comic number 17. We'll bug you till you do. LOL. Peace, brothers. Peace, Master Chudy. It's nice to see you. Thanks for coming. You
What
and
was
Chudy.
it? Red what?
Oh my God, I lost it already. I already shut down the
Red Hood? It's like Red Hood and the Outlaws, right?
team.
There's all these DC books that I flip through, and like I don't feel like actually this is where Comic Historian would come in. I don't feel like I have a handhold to jump in. It feels like they're playing double dutch, you know? And I'm not at that level. Like there's too many ropes swinging around. I don't know what's going on.
All right, let's see. We got more super chats. Burgundy Ghost, thank you for $10. Armored Placoderm, thank you very much. That's very nice of you. Another super chat. And what? Master Chudy. Okay, so it was Red Hood number 17. To clarify, yeah.
Okay.
Negi says, "Hey, you're almost at 10,000." Yeah, I'm almost there. But just some guy lapped 10,000 like a long time ago. So I don't know. I feel like I got to catch up to just some guy. He's going to be.
He's above 10,000.
He's like 10,500 right now. No joke. Like he is for real. And
This guy is like probably my favorite channel right now. He's been around for a little while. I'm gonna try to open it without it playing. But he was doing stuff like once a week, which drove me nuts. Like that's not really a channel if you're just doing stuff like once a week. Now he's doing stuff like every other day. So
he's coming on my show. He'll be on here Wednesday. So we're gonna do. I like him a lot. I really think he's just a fine human being. I really like Just Some Guy, and I've asked him to come on. He said he will. You know what it is? He does a few videos, but he really hits those videos hard. Like he did a great analysis of the new Star Wars that got like 100,000 views or something like that. And he does anti-SJW stuff every now and then. And when he does, they get massive amounts of views. So they're really, really good, thoughtful videos. So I'd like to talk to him. We'll talk about comics. We'll have him on here Wednesday if you guys show up. Jared Wilson, thanks for the super chat. Have EVS said yes, Scott McDaniel to come on. I've never met Scott McDaniel, but I'd be happy to ask him and we'll see what he says. And this doesn't help. I mean, you guys, when this kind of chaos is going on, there aren't a lot of like professionals who are going to want to come on the channel. Because, look, they're going to get pegged and called out and abused, and not by me, but I mean by the people who are causing this chaos. But I still try. I mean, I don't. I'll still ask people. This is supposed to be comics. It's supposed to be fun. Bill Fitch, thank you for the super chat. How would it feel to be lifted by the fizzy lifting drink in Charlie and the Chocolate Factory's factory? I imagine it would be like being lifted by the stomach. What do you think, Richard?
I've never seen that movie, but I know I was watching Black Lightning, and at one point he's in this like crummy motel. He's using the lightning to levitate this bad guy above a car, but they're having this conversation. Like the guy seems kind of okay. Like I feel like if you were being levitated by lightning, you would just be screaming. Your answers would make no sense. It would just be a bunch of curse words and crying and begging.
Would you be electrocuted while you're being lifted by lightning? Like,
yeah, and like he was just kind of, it was like it was the force. He was just kind of floating, but all his muscles should have been spasming.
Death Hirokin asks both of us, who is your favorite X-Man and favorite Robin? So I'll let you go first.
Uh, my favorite X-Man is Gambit. I just think he's got a cool look, got a cool name. I actually like lower powered uh, heroes, and he was always like really smooth with the ladies. And what was the other one?
Robin.
Oh, Tim Drake. I was there when they first debuted that Neil Adams uh, costume that he got paid like 15 grand to design.
Mhm.
Yeah, 15 grand in like 1990, which is pretty impressive. And
No, it wasn't
those,
in 1990. You got to remember what people were getting paid back then.
oh yeah,
Yeah. My favorite X-Man is Jean Grey, and my favorite Robin. I'm going to say Dick Grayson just because he's the first, and I'm a Golden Age guy. You know, all my characters, my favorite characters are Golden Age. Burgundy Ghost, thank you for the super chat. He says, annoyed that a reporter is trying to smear EVS while defending a racist nut job. Who's the racist nut job? Keep up the good fight, Ethan. Zach, catch up on those reviews. The stack is getting thick with a lot of C's. I think that's thick. I don't know. Thank you for being annoyed on my behalf and for encouraging Zach to get back to work. Lord Blackwind, thanks for the super chat. EVS, how would you reimagine Marv from Sin City in a superhero universe?
oh, I mean, I wouldn't want him in it. Um, I can definitely be him. Do you guys remember Bibbo from the superhero comics, from the Superman comics? Bibbo
Well,
was this kind of like idiot dock worker who was somehow ended up being a main character in the Superman books in like 1990. So I can see Marv being kind of like that. He's kind of like a background Daredevil character who pops up every now and then.
yeah, I agree with you. Did he say Marvel Universe? No, he just said in a superhero universe. So
Yeah.
I would put him in Gotham City, obviously, and I'd have him. I don't know, just a vigilante for hire kind of guy in Gotham. Gotham is where you put all the creeps. Carlos Suache, Carlos Wakukwa. Sorry, Carlos. I'm sorry for that. Thanks for the super chat. Diversity. Read Amazing Spider-Man 655, 656, and you will see that Slot used to be great.
Okay, that was only what, like, oh, that was like 3 years ago, right? Okay,
Yeah.
I've heard good things about his older stuff. Recent stuff has been really, really bad.
I really like Dan. I have to say, in all of this, like all of this chaos and all of this weird betrayal by my peers, Dan has been super cool to me, at least to my face and in private. I mean, he has been very, very cool. He was a gentleman on my chat. I know he said a goofy thing. I forgive him, and I think fans mostly should have forgiven him by now. And I think he's really like at this moment, focused on his work again and focused on writing good comics. And I'm glad. I admire him for that. So I haven't read too much of his stuff. I know that you have, and I guess Doug Ernst is you said Doug Ernst is a big, Dan Slott reader.
Yeah, he
You know,
started as a just a regular written blog like 8 years ago. So he's been doing this forever.
huh. Yeah, and I mean, most videos, I swear to God, like when I first came on to YouTube, I would just like look at what was available to me, like recommended videos, and they were, uh, and they were all Dan Slott oriented, like pretty much all Dan Slott, all day long. And I guess it was because he was combative on YouTube, and see where that gets you. Tiago Murda, you should also check out Matt Draper on YouTube. He does a lot of great comic related videos. Okay, never heard of him, but all right, I'll bet he's good. Um, let's see. Kira B, what if they all came on the channel? Can SJWs call everyone a Nazi? Like, what if we had everyone here? This is the thing. These people right now who are, I think, who are causing the ruckus, you know, they all have one thing in common. You know what the thing is?
No.
Yes, you do. None of them want to talk.
Oh yeah.
None of them want to talk. None of them want to talk to me. None of them want to talk to you, really. None of them want to discuss things. None of them want to sit down and be civilized and say, hey, I'm a human being. I'm a person. And, we might disagree, but I would like to sit down and talk about where we are not connecting here and where our problem lies. Like, they all have that in common. Like, none of them say, hey dude, all right, we have a misunderstanding, so let's try to work it out. Like, that's the opposite of what they do,
Well,
which I
there's a
think.
big thing they'll say when someone they don't like gets interviewed, and they'll rail at the interview, and they'll say, "You humanized them," implying that the person was not human before. They're very, very afraid in any kind of interaction that will come off as human. That's because that's what they need us to literally be demons. I'm always laughing when I'm doing some dopey thing like snapping when I get angry. It's like,
Mhm.
I'm a demon. Like,
Yeah.
you guys need to get out more if you think I'm a demon, or they talk about you and you're practically like a human Muppet. You're, they're,
I'm not a
they're
human monkey.
come on. So they know anytime. And the other thing that is why they don't want to, not even just debate, just don't want to talk is they if you go to their Twitters, they don't have anything to talk about. I've said a bunch of times that SJW is just something that people of average intelligence do to seem like intellectuals, but it's
Mhm.
also something that people who don't have a lot, like if you take SJW talk out of like most of these people, that you've taken almost all of their subjects. Whereas if they came on, we could talk about, oh, I like this book, all these different things. Like that's basically all they got.
Yeah, I don't enjoy talking about politics. I don't enjoy them. I mean, I think I used to. Politics is like, and I've said this before on my channel, politics is poison, in the sense that if you're really into it, if you're watching CNN, MSNBC, Fox News all day long, you are being indoctrinated and you're being poisoned. You take it in a little bit at a time for entertainment. You might want to keep updated about what's going on in the world, but those are not informative news stations, and nor are these websites and things like that. These are basically just red meat and fuel to keep you angry and to keep the other people otherized. I'm sorry, real quick. Matt, thank you for the super chat. That's a big one. Walt Simonson, when? I will ask him. I will ask him, and I think he's a gentleman. I think he might do it. Bendon Singh, thank you for the super chat. Ethan, using your knowledge and insight, is there any way for fans to ensure that Chip Zdarsky would write Amazing Spider-Man? Yeah, ask Marvel a lot, and ask Chip Zdarsky if he actually wants to do it. I think that would be a fine thing. Feisty fan, thank you for the super chat. As a comic shop employee, it's so great to hear DNC stick up for us retailers. How do you like that? Love the work on Dawnbreaker EVS. Thank you both. No, thank you for being there. Appreciate you. James Dietrich, DNC, you guys could talk about sandwiches, the whole cast, and comics Twitter will be rolling around in the street tomorrow with their hair on fire. I hope not. Diversity, inclusion, compassion, kindness, and comics says best way to support EVS is to pre-order and buy multiple copies of his books. Huge sales bump is coming on your next run due to fan interactions. Oh, that'd be nice. But anyway, where were we? I was trying to catch up on super chats and I got lost.
Oh, well, we were talking about the SJWs. They don't want to talk. I was just peeking at them. So I actually got to pace myself on doing videos about them, because then it does sort of look like a bullying thing if I do too many videos. But I look at the type of words I see. I literally saw the word monster to describe you
To
from a
describe.
couple hours ago today.
Well, I mean, what's left after Nazi?
But
Monster.
the interesting thing is they're simultaneously, as everyone else in the world got bored of that. I remember Dave Chappelle, he had this great line. He goes, 10 years, you call someone a racist, you perk your ears up. You go, oh, whoa, what, really? Now you just kind of shrug. Maybe he is, maybe he isn't. At the same time, the whole world got bored of the whole calling everyone you don't like a Nazi thing. They have ramped up into the stratosphere. I mean, you can literally Google their name on Twitter and the word Nazi, and come up with dozens of uses in just the last week. It's crazy, and that's one of the things that I feel bad about. I've said there's these major writers who have basically weaponized fringe players who, my opinion, seem to have some pretty bad psychological issues. That seems pretty heinous to take people you can tell are troubled and say, "Hey, we'll be better friends if you do X, Y, or Z."
Well, I don't know if they know that they're troubled. Like, what if, like, how do we know that they know that they're troubled? I'll tell you, there's one fellow among the four, and I've narrowed it down to four people who are, really just seem to be out to get me, and in a very inhuman way. And one of them, I remember when it was first happening, me getting angry. And I've consulted a lawyer. I've got a lawyer going over all this stuff and everything. Yeah, there might be something. But this one guy in particular, I just kind of said, you know, I cast, and he confessed to being mentally ill, like severely depressed after losing his job. And he was sitting there on a GoFundMe page trying to get with his girlfriend. I think girlfriend or wife, I'm not sure. He was like looking for money to pay his bills, and I just went, look, this is not. This guy can say whatever he wants about me. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not gonna. I'm whatever. Like, I've got it so good. My life is really, really good, and this guy's life is clearly not good. And so, if he wants to do this, I hope he stops, because it does hurt my feelings. I mean, sorry, I'm actually not a monster. I do have feelings and compassion. Um, but I'm not going to go after this guy. And I think I actually said that somewhere. I must have seen it, and he just didn't stop. You know what I mean? So it's like something beyond, like just there's something like motivating this. Like, there's an engine behind this that I am
Well, when
like.
I was in, Afghanistan, we would always have these conversations. Why did people become terrorists? My central theory was always that it's a lot of it just has to do with being really bored. You know, you grew up in a tiny little. It's not even a village. It's like a couple of huts that are sort of near each other in Afghanistan. Why wouldn't you just go put a bomb in the road, see if you could take out a vehicle? I mean, you have literally nothing to do. So when you say someone's lost their job, they're really bored, you're married, that's
Yeah.
not a good situation where you're not supporting, the household. I can see them, all of a sudden casting about for I need a dragon to slay.
Yeah, dragon slaying is a big deal. Here's the other thing, though. All right, picture being depressed. Like, have you ever been depressed in your life?
Not really. Let's kind of roll with stuff.
I have. I remember being depressed after my parents got divorced, and my divorce. I remember being depressed about, and it really is like a black, just like haze of like worry, and just a pit of in your stomach just all the time, and you're just like, there's nothing good in the future, and everything's scary. So there are people who feel like that often, and they experience moments of that, and then they experience moments of, I can do anything, just euphoria. These are manic depressives. So if you're alternating between that and that all the time, just try to picture that, Richard. Try to picture like being in the depths of hell and then feeling like you're soaring in the sky. Now, what makes you soar in the sky? And when you do soar on the sky, you can slay dragons. And then add political ideology on top of that. And does it sound like we've summed these people up?
Yeah, well, the other aspect of why they never want to talk is because I think at some level, they know they're troubled or weird or non-average, we'll say. Uh, but the thing you said earlier, you go, well, how do you know that these major writers, how do you know they actually know these people are troubled? And yeah, they might spend so little time that they don't even know. But these, I know the four you're talking about, and they know that if they got into a conversation, even if they were able to pick, that it was only people that knew them in the listening to the conversation, they know instinctively that a lot of people would side with you. They would come out of the end of that thing and they go, "Oh, I thought he was this weird monster, but he was just talking about like Ethel Merman and
Mhm.
having a road in front of
I
his
never
house.
said anything about Ethel
No reason.
Merman, ever. Hats off. Okay, so super chat from Rabid Mutant Studios. Hats off to you and Zach for being the kindest and most reasonable quote unquote Nazis ever. What are they going to do once they've made that term meaningless? No, well, monster is next, Rob. I think monster is worse than Nazi. Like,
Yeah, monster seems to be coming up. They have you noticed they're talking about souls lately? That's been popping up a lot.
oh
Souls. My soul is
yeah,
pure. Your souls are damaged. It's almost kind of like they're gonna start putting little white collars on it. They're the neo priests.
yeah, they're judging the souls of people. Like they can see into people's hearts, and they've determined that this person's soul is
Well, you know why? You know why they have to judge your soul?
why.
Because they searched in your history for your actions and they came up basically empty. So they're like, come up interesting. We've gone back 10 years and we didn't find any actual actions, but maybe his soul is just grimy.
Yeah,
Let's
yeah, yeah.
go.
Yeah. I mean, if someone, well, first of all, what's a monster? A monster is, all right. History's monsters. Obviously Hitler, but Hitler's a Nazi. So the dude who ate people, what's his name? The cannibal guy in the 90s. Oh shoot.
Dahmer.
Yeah, Jeffrey Dahmer, monster, right?
Yeah.
Ted Bundy, monster. And then like those people are legitimate monsters. So anyone else, like if you want to conjure up those kinds of images about people and project them onto maybe political figures that you disagree with, and that's what comes to mind. It's a pretty good term.
Well, the
I
other
mean,
thing about a
just
monster is when you're a monster, it's not a one-off, you know? Um, you don't get to be Jeffrey Dahmer for eating one person. You know what I mean? You got to eat multiple people.
thank you.
Anytime stuff like this happens, so like I talked about this in the video, one of the things I always do, and people used to warn me about this, it actually got diluted in kind of a literal symbolic way, if that makes sense, by me doing more videos, is they used to cherry pick. They'll go, oh, he said this one thing, and out of context, it sounds bad. But now that I got like 700 videos, it really, so let's say I did say something that was a reasonable person could say was offensive,
Mhm.
but that was one sentence out of 700 videos that average.
Well, they just pull something out. Well, they do this to me too. There's something that they always say. They're like, I said at one point before the election, right at the point where everyone was pretty sure Trump was going to get slaughtered. Okay. I posted a meme with all of these Pepes, and this was before Pepe was officially adopted by white supremacists. Pepe was just this kind of frog symbol, cartoon symbol that you would post in response to liberals yelling at you. You would just post that frog, and he was looking at you side-eyed and smirking, and it was kind of like a way of saying without saying, "I see what you're up to." You know,
Yeah,
it's like that's what Pepe used to be.
he was a
Um,
rascal. He was basically Bugs Bunny.
yeah, yeah, yeah. It was like, haha, we're gonna win, in essence, and it drove him nuts. Pepe drove him nuts, and the reason why Pepe drove him nuts was because when you respond to a leftist with a cartoon character, they're pretty sure you're not taking them as seriously as they deserve to be taken. So that's why it was so effective and it worked so well. But
Well,
anyways,
Pepe's a really, really interesting thing because he has effectively been um, tarnished
yeah,
forever.
yeah.
But they had this other thing where Calvin and Hobbes, if you remember this, Calvin and Hobbes was popular in the 80s and 90s. And the
Mhm.
guys, and then especially if you live in the country, uh, like bootleg Calvins do all sorts of things on all
That's
sorts of
true.
stuff. And I've seen a lot of racist Calvin things, but it never became Calvin is the symbol of redneck America. It was just Calvin is a people that is a character that all types of people like. They do all types of things with them, you know, without permission of the owner, and it was just understood. Like peeing on the Ford symbol, just dumb.
It's we got a couple super chats. James Andrews, thank you. Hey Ethan, big fan. Found you through DNC. Thanks. I was surprised to see you did Jordan Peterson's illustrations for his book. I've been listening to him for a year. What's he like in real life? Does DNC know him? You don't know Jordan Peterson, do you?
I like. I'm kind of like as soon as the election was over, I dipped out. Like I don't know
Okay.
what's going on right now.
Yeah, me actually I don't know really either. What's he like in real life? Well, I've only spoken to him on the phone maybe 4 or 5 times. He's cordial. He is patient. And if I did ask him one time, I did ask him, I said, hey, Dr. Peterson, I feel like I get ganged up on the internet. And these people say, he's like, they call you a Nazi. What? And I was like, yeah. And he's like, well, you can't back down. You can't ever back down to them. You can't ever do that. And I was like, whoa. And I thought that was really good advice. And that was one of the things that made me kind of come back to Twitter and just say, well, I'm going to approach social media from a different direction, but I'm not going to go away. It's like no chance. And then, started up my YouTube page too. So Jordan Peterson, partially responsible for that. He's a really, really nice guy. And I like my dad a lot, but it'd be nice if he was my uncle or something. All right, let's see. Hell, thank you for the super chat. Are you ever going to show us your Ethel Merman fan art? What are you doing to me? Anyway, so back to this thing that I was saying. So I posted this meme with Pepe faces plastered over Starship Trooper soldiers. And these liberals thought that those Starship Trooper soldiers were Nazis. And I've never seen anything like it. So anyway, I posted that meme, and this one guy who Richard was saying before, my Facebook page was a political free-for-all all the time. Every day there were like 25 people who would get involved, and we all looked forward to it. Whatever was in the news, we got together and we busted each other's chops. There were liberals, there were conservatives, nobody too extreme, but it was just Republicans versus Democrats all the time. And some, comic professionals were involved too. So this whole thing about like queer globalization, was being discussed by liberals who were saying that that's what the alt-right was condemning them as, like queer globalists. And it was just this phrase that existed in October or so. Before the election. So when I posted that, one of these guys showed up and he just said, hey, he looked at the Pepe meme. I said, are you ready? Are you joining us? And he said, no, no, no. And I said, what? You don't want to fight the queer globalist agenda or something like that? And he went, hell no. Now listen, scour my social media, scour it for any reference to anything homophobic like that. I mean, seriously. This was a one-off kind of joke and an argument that I was having with a friend, for God's sake. So they pulled out one little thing out of context and they show it to everybody. And now what am I going to do? Am I going to go around explaining that to the world all the time? And they know that, it's like they know that. They're aware that, like, hey, if we remove context from this, and if we remove what the purpose of your social media was and the way that you interacted with your friends at this time, et cetera, and then what that meant. And the fact is that you were kind of making fun of that, people who wanted that, who believed that, who were suggesting that, then they wouldn't have a weapon to use against you.
Well, yeah, there's this also thing that and I remember those days, and it's kind of shocking that they weren't that long ago, and yet literally 6 years, people were completely different 6 years ago. Like, I remember that crowd. You could say a lot of stuff, you'd be mad for 3 days, and then you'd go back to being friends. It was a big mix-em-up. The idea that any one of us on either side would have reported the other person to Facebook, for like harassment, if that was even an option in 2012, it wouldn't have even at your maddest, you wouldn't have said, oh, where's that harassment button? Like, you'd be like, oh, I really hate this guy. I'm going to roast him next time I see him. But then you're just kind of like joking around. But one of the constant things, so I live like 3 blocks away from the Daily Show with Trevor Noah. So all these SJWs, they love Samantha Bee. They love Jon Stewart. Was it John Oliver?
Yeah.
And they all do this thing where they're snide and they're sarcastic and they're tongue in cheek. But then if you try to do that, they act like that form of humor does not exist. So they do this little like pseudo autism thing where they go, oh, Ethan likes queer globalism, or he's against it. Like you were just watching John Oliver be sarcastic for like 30 minutes, and then you want to act like sarcasm it's not even possible for human beings to do it.
And the fact that irony is not lost on people who dye their hair blue and wear plaid. I mean, that kills me that they pretend not to understand what irony is, what satire is. They all pretend that there's no such thing and that everything's very literal. Jared Wilson, thank you for the super chat. That's wonderful. Appreciate it. Everyone's making fun of me over pedicures. Listen, all of you, listen to your Uncle Ethan. Treat yourself. Get out there. Get out there. I know that it sounds a little femmy. All right, look, you don't have to tell anyone. I just told you guys, and maybe it's embarrassing, but like you're my family here. I mean, you're my YouTube family. I'm telling you, if you get out there and you get yourself, a pedicure, it's not even about making your nails look nice. It's about having someone rub your feet for like an hour.
Stop.
Oh,
Stop.
you don't like that?
This is exactly like a Nurkish live stream right now.
Oh, I can't get through to you. John Malin is here. Is it Malin? Malin. John Malin is here, and he's laughing at me right now. Yeah, I think like if you do it though, stop with the Aunt Ethan. It's Uncle Ethan. Yeah, go all the way and get a Brazilian wax. Somebody said, I'm not getting a Brazilian wax. I just want someone to rub my feet. Listen, some people are on their feet all day long. I mean, I'm not. I'm on my rear end most of the day, but it's a good thing. Somebody says that's a foot fetish. EVS foot fetish confirmed. That's not true. That's if I like someone else's feet. Liking my own feet is not a foot fetish at all. Would you say? To be fair, Richard.
It's gross. Like, imagine what those tubs that you put your feet in. They are not scrubbing those things. Not in any reasonable way.
Casca 52, thank you for the super chat. Also, Hot Pink Geek, thank you for the super chat. I'm not reading it. Casca 52 says apologies are an admittance of guilt to SJW. Well, that's the other thing that I said. I said, do not. I can't. I made a big mistake and I apologized once for something, and I can't do it ever again. Everyone said, don't apologize. I said, oh well, I was wrong. I should apologize. I mean, like that was beneath my manners. That's not the way my mom raised me. I got to apologize for what I said. No. I'll never do that again. I'll never do that again, because then they ride that all day long. You admitted you were guilty. I don't even understand people anymore. I don't understand these people at all.
Well, when I was in boot camp, we had a drill instructor who said, don't say thank you or sorry. If you're sorry, stop doing that thing that you're sorry for. You're grateful, keep doing the good things. So, I mean, you can apologize in real life to an actual person, but yeah, not to an SJW, not on social media. It's almost worse than a admission of guilt, because guilt has a sentence and then you go to jail and then you're done. Like the admission of guilt will be brought up forever. That admission of guilt will be brought up in 10 years from now.
Yeah, I know. It's crazy. And, whatever. I mean, I guess that you make mistakes and you live with them. Comic Artist Pro Secrets is Hal Jordan a Republican or Libertarian? I don't know. I think he's just a Republican. I don't think he thinks that much about politics. I think he goes by instinct, and he finds Green Arrow to be annoying. So
do you remember this event? And I don't even know if it was an event or it just might have been a one shot. Like, I think it was 2012, and DC basically like kind of flat out said the party of every single major DC character.
I was there. I told him not to do it. I said, I remember I was talking to Dan DiDio. I said, don't do that. Like, no. And he said, trust me. I said, okay.
Well,
and it turned out
completely even. For every Democrat, there was a Republican. So nobody felt like left out.
Yeah. I mean, so it's not like everyone's they tell you, oh, all superheroes are social justice warriors. Well, they're not. All superheroes are justice warriors, flat out justice warriors. And whatever justice is, I mean, sometimes justice is social, but their primary aim isn't whatever these people do, which is to just get together and block everyone and try to get people fired from their jobs and accuse them of thought crimes. And, listen, knock it off. Like, that's not what Superman does. Ian Aspen, thank you for the super chat. Here's some maples for Uncle Ethan and Rich. I do coloring as a hobby. I always enjoy throwing some colors on your lines, Ethan. Well, Ian, if that's true, then make sure that you show me. I would like to see the end result. Chris asks, hey, Ethan, so did Tim Doyle ever actually admit to being a Satanist because I'm worried that he wasn't being ironic. Yeah, he did, and I think he was like I think it's one of those things. When I moved to Portland, Oregon, there was a Church of Elvis. Okay, and I think basically what the Church of Elvis was just it was a tax scheme of some sort. Hey, it's a religion. We worship Elvis now. We don't have to pay taxes. Um, I think that there's a lot of kind of that going on in the kind of Satanism that someone like Tim Doyle would subscribe to, where it's just like, hey, I'm a Satanist. Aren't I edgy? It's like, well, look, I guess. I don't know. Not to me. I really don't care. Um, Jacob Fool, hey, love both of your channels. Thank you for the super chat. Keep up the great work. Here's $5 to put towards your petty fund, Ethan. Tell Zach to roast Batgirl number 8. So you need to do that, I think.
I quit I did like Batgirl 17 like 2 days ago, and I quit. They literally had the Penguin show up in an in continuity mainstream book, not like a holiday special, not like a giveaway in a cereal box. And he said, "Never fear, the Penguin's here." And he showed up, as Yellow Flash pointed out, on completely flat ground, in a sled, and I just threw it on the ground and I just stopped.
Jared Wilson, thanks for the super chat. Zach, what do you think of Sesame Street?
It was okay. You know what? Here's the deal. Sesame Street, at least when I was watching it, like in the 70s, it was not SJW. It was actually kind of this rough, really grimy show. One of the cool things is that all of the characters had these really weird quirks and personality defects and extreme faults. Um, like everyone thought that Big Bird was a compulsive liar. Obviously Oscar was like had massive rage problems. Bert had rage problems. The composer guy who used to smash his head on the keys, like
Yeah.
it was pretty dank, as my son would say. And I've heard it. I've heard Ethan say it got pretty good once it went to HBO.
Yeah, it's better now, but I mean, if you go back and look at Sesame Street in the 1970s, it's basically like one little street that's completely run by communists because first of all, it's filthy. Apparently, there's no trash pickup at all. Okay, no trash pickup, or else Oscar would be gone. So that trash has been sitting there for 50 years, Richard. Like nobody has come to collect the garbage, right? Now, if you look around, you'll see that the businesses, the local businesses. There's a guy, David runs a fix-it shop that repairs manual typewriters. Now,
Was
tell me,
Cuba in the 1980s?
this was in the 70s, and then well into the 80s, he was still repairing manual typewriters. Tell me that isn't Soviet. And there's Mr. Hooper's store. There's nothing in Mr. Hooper's store that anyone would ever want to buy. And then the whole place is just full of like colorful idiots who haven't learned the alphabet in 50 years. Like so.
Hooper's store would have like these bare shelves with like a single loaf of bread on it.
Yeah. So it's basically communism. It's just, just people living in grime with monsters who are trying to master the ABCs. And it's gotten better now. I really think that the HBO version has picked it up and it's become a lot more cheerful. There's also a really cute girl on there named Nina. She's young. I want you to actually watch an episode of Sesame Street and check out Nina and tell me if you think she's hot. She's like the worst actress in the world, but for some reason I think that makes her hotter.
Oh, freaking Maria from. So I grew up in like Nebraska and Indiana, and then when I got to be an adult and I started dating, it was like really focused on Latinas, and I was like, where does this come from? I grew up around all white people, but then I remembered freaking Maria, way back in the day. Yeah.
Doog Fi, thank you for the super chat. Ethan, are you reading Doomsday Clock? It's surprisingly enjoyable. Are you able to get Gary Frank on the channel? I have Doomsday Clock. I have not had a chance to read it. I'm currently reading a magazine that I bought about the Zodiac Killer at the supermarket. I bought it. I don't have any time to read. I have to draw, so there's no time to read. and it takes me like a week to read a magazine about the Zodiac killer. Are you able to get Gary Frank on the channel? I asked Gary Frank. Gary Frank even though we're friends, Gary Frank politely told me that if he can avoid doing an interview, he will, and he only does interviews when DC demands that he do them. So I was fine with that. Sorry. Edwin Boyette, thank you for the super chat. EVS, you misspoke. We are offended for our own sake. You were attacked as a public proxy for us. In defending you, we defend ourselves.
That is a really, who said that?
Edwin Boyette.
Oh yeah, Edwin's like, he's like a beat poet kind of. That was very, very well said.
You know, I enjoy Edwin because he responds with videos that actually have him talk. He says what he's, so you don't have to just take like a little snippet like this and read it. Like Edwin explains it, and you can see that he's a good guy. There's love behind his eyes. You know, he's a genuinely good human being. Edwin, here's the thing. The problem is that people who love me, my fans, I hope that they're doing this on their own behalf. I don't want them to do it for me, because what they do is the people who get criticized by my fans turn around and say, Ethan has launched a hate mob at us for criticizing him. At the same time, I'm receiving a hate mob because they're criticizing me, but I don't actually come out and say, your hate mob is calling me a Nazi and sending me death threats and smashing pizzeria windows. I don't say things like that. But they will say that. They will say that about you guys. They will call you my personal hate mob that I'm directing to do things, as if any of you ever really talked to me besides this. They think that you're doing it on my behalf, and I'll say right out, I don't want you to. Now, if you, I want you to not attack these people, frankly. I want them to go away, and I want us to talk about comics, and I want you guys to buy my comics. I want you to enjoy our YouTube channels, et cetera, et cetera. Having said that, what Edwin says, if you feel like what they're saying is offensive to you personally, do what you have to do. Say what you have to say. Speak up. You have voices. And at some point, when it becomes clear that, you know, this is mob action, I mean, we just have to stand up for this and protect our industry. We have to. We have to. We have to say stop. I mean, look, this isn't fun. This isn't fun. Nobody's enjoying this. Nobody's enjoying the constant political bickering over, you know, instead of, as a substitution to enjoying our hobby. Now, you can look at my social media. I think I used to be kind of a fighter. I used to be kind of a brawler. Yeah, I've stopped because of a channel called Diversity in Comics, which I started watching. Yeah, boy. And it told me, hey, fans don't like this. You're turning off fans. They don't like this. They want to hear about your comics. They don't want to hear about your views. Okay.
One of the biggest things about politics, where it kills things, is because uh, your politics don't change, or they change very slowly. So if you're talking about your politics today and tomorrow, or tomorrow and a week from now, you're basically just repeating the exact same thing. It would be me reviewing the same book every single day, and then rotating it with 2 or 3 other books. And sometimes I just do one for like a week straight. Like, it's boring and it's repetitive.
And there's nothing that you're going to say that's especially interesting. You know, by you, I mean anyone listening. I mean, there's nothing anyone's going to say that's revolutionary or interesting. It's just something you heard someone else say, and you're throwing it back at someone else. It's dogma. Everyone needs to shush. Let's talk about what your views are about how great Green Lantern is. Ryan Radford, thank you for the super chat. Oscar's can is a portal to Grouch World. That is true.
I just thought he had. I would, now I might be misremembering, but I swear one time they showed downstairs, and it was just like a little basement area with garbage in it.
Well, he has unlimited garbage in there, and he also does have an elephant in his garbage can because the trunk would come out. And I can't remember what the elephant's name was, but it was like the Addams Family joke. You know, it was like a dragon living in the staircase. You never see it. Everyone is confirming that Nina from Sesame Street is hot. Yeah, 3 people have confirmed. And I think you would like her, I do. I think she's probably your type.
I just looked at her. She's like a tiny white girl.
No, she's Latina.
What is it? Mina?
No, N. Yeah, Nina.
Nina.
Yeah, she's not a puppet.
I'm pretty excited about this. Oh no, this looks like a white girl to me.
Well, she speaks Spanish,
Mm,
so
pass.
maybe if you see her animated like doing things, you'll notice that she is, you know, Latina, and that is your type of girl, from what I understand. Much to the dismay of the entire female chat. Um, I don't know. There might be some Latinas in there. Uh, EVS, for real, when is our secret hate mob meeting? Well, this is it. You're here right now, Hal. This
This
is
is
our,
it. It was disgusting talk about foot baths.
yeah, pedicures and Sesame Street. And now I want you to go out and just raise hell. Okay, it looks like her Nina's name is Suki Lopez. So I mean, her last name's Lopez. There you go. And and she's funny because, um, my wife, we watch Sesame Street every day because our daughter is like right in that pocket. Like she loves Sesame Street. So we criticize the episodes, and some of them we like, some of them we don't. There's definitely SJW sneaking in. Oh my! Let me tell you one thing that drove us both nuts. So there's a Rapunzel skit, and the knight is down there at the bottom of the tower, and he's like, Rapunzel, Rapunzel, let down your hair. And she looks at him and pokes her head out and then drops her hair out, and she's cut it off, and she's got a mental illness haircut.
Oh my
And he
gosh.
goes, I don't need no man to rescue me. And then he climbs up there and they do this little dance like, I'm a princess, I'm free, I don't need no knight to rescue me. Uh, yeah, we both like projectile vomited all over the TV. Um, let's see, but for the most part, we watch this, and this Suki Lopez, this Nina character, she over her like you have to see her. She overacts to everything. Her face is just nothing but constant annoying mugging to everything. Like she's like, ooh, like all the time. Like her eyes bugging out and her lips pursing, and I don't know. I don't know how I feel about it honestly. But yeah, everyone here is wow. Everyone. Well, some people are saying Kimberly from Power Rangers. What do you think of that?
I don't know.
Were you ever into the Power Rangers?
No, I just missed that. I was just too old to actually see it.
Yeah, that like went over my head too. I just thought it was Voltron basically. It's like a ripoff of Voltron. I mean, Voltron was cool. Did you like Voltron at least?
That was one of those ones where it didn't show in the part of the country I was at when that was popular. It's like just like a black hole of pop culture to me.
Gee whiz. Well, Voltron was in the same time as the Transformers and GI Joe, frankly, and so I think you would have dug it. The thing I liked about Voltron the most as a kid, and the thing I like about it now, and you tell me how this makes you feel, Zach.
All right.
Voltron basically tried everything. Okay, so there would be like a road beast, like a monster. Okay, and he would be attacking stuff. I don't know what he'd be doing. He'd be in space, and so they would try everything. They would all get in their lions, and they would try to fight this thing as lions, individual lions, and they couldn't do it. Like he would throw all the lions off. So then they go, oh, we better form Voltron. By the way, for people who were concerned about, I know there was a big talk about She-Hulk not becoming She-Hulk for like 6 issues. This is how to structure superhero stories, and there's no reason to change this. If there's a transformative aspect to your superhero character, they need to transform every single issue, at least once. So they would go, let's form Voltron, and then as kids you'd be like, yeah, boy, and they'd be like fighting the Row Beast, like wrestling him, and it never worked. Okay, never worked. And so then they'd go, okay, well, we got to resort to this form Blazing Sword, and Voltron would grow this gigantic sword, and then they would murder the Row Beast. They'd cut him in half, like literally cut him in two pieces, and his two pieces would float away. Every episode. What does that teach a kid?
Why don't you just skip to using the sword right away?
Exactly right. So the answer to every problem is murder. That's what it taught me. I mean, every single time, like nothing else worked. Like it was never a conversation that worked. It was always like they always just said, ah, well, all right, let's just kill him. And they did it every single time. Um, let's see. Fox XP hates Google, says EVS, the dub company, changed everything about Voltron for the American audience. All right, everyone. So we've been at this for about 90 minutes now. I appreciate your coming very, very much. I hope you had a good time. We could do this maybe once a month. What do you think, Richard?
Yeah, sounds good.
Okay, cool. All right, well, we're going to say goodnight to you all. You guys all have a wonderful night. Be good to each other. Take good care. Do not form a hate mob. Do not do anything that would exacerbate bad situations. We definitely love you. Go get a pedicure.
Gross.
All right, guys. Good night.